Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to our online lesson. I am Nijat. I'm here again, and in today's lesson we will be talking about third conditional, as you see from my screen. And you can ask which level of students can watch us. Like, the lesson is for intermediate level, and I will be here for 2 hours, and from 2 to 4 p.m. Yes. Okay, if you are ready, we can start to talk about the third conditional sentences. Are you ready? All right, if you are ready, we can start. And in today's lesson, as I told you, we will be talking about third conditional sentences. And in English, as you know, we have first conditional sentences, we have zero conditional sentences, like zero, first, second, and third. The last one is about the mixed conditional sentences also we have in English. But in today's lesson, we will be talking about, focusing on third conditional sentences, third type. So firstly, before starting to talk about the grammar in more detail, let me tell you what we will learn today. And we will learn how can we make third conditional sentences, and I will teach you how can we make a structure and what tense we should use and what we are gonna do, and how can we make the sentences related to this grammar and blah blah blah. So in today's lesson we will solve this problem for everyone, I hope. And Mr. Halil is here, Eylem and Leyla. Eylem says, "Hi teacher, it's important topic for me." Yes, Eylem, I totally agree with you. That is the crucial topic for not only you but also for every student, everyone. Like in English, if we are willing to speak in English very well, we have to aware of third conditional sentences. Why we use third conditional sentences? You can ask me the problem. What is the problem and why we use third conditional sentences, in which situations we use that. All right, so if you feel ready, we can start step by step, like the structure, usage of the third conditionals, and making the examples. Then we will continue with exercises that we will do them all together. Yes, LM says, could you start from the first conditional? This week, Eylem, I'm gonna give you the detailed information related to the program. Like in today's lesson, I will focus on third conditional sentences. But if you want to learn first conditional and the second, the conditional sentences, I'll have a lesson on Thursday from 2 to 4 p.m. On Saturday, yes, from 12 to 2. Like on Thursday and Saturday, I will be talking about first and second conditional sentences. Today, I only focus on third type of conditionals. All right. Hi, Azima. Hi, Leila. Art and Techno. It's really difficult to pronounce these names. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome again and again. So, Gul Safa asked a question. Like, are you Turkish? No, I am not Turkish. I'm from a different country, but I'm trying to learn the Turkish language. I'm gonna try to speak like you, but I try to do my best in this way. All right, so if you feel ready, let's start. Why we use conditionals and how can we use them? We use conditional, like third conditional sentences, like something happened in the past. Like we use the third conditional to talk about the things in the past happening differently from the way they really happen. Or the second way we use third conditional sentences, if we are talking about the regret or the mistake that we made in the past, in order to point out someone's mistake. It's like criticizing someone. For example, For example, you have an exam. Yes, like in the past, you had an exam. For example, 2 months ago, and you didn't prepare very well. You didn't study very well. That's why you failed. Okay, so in this case, we say if I had studied very well, or if I had reviewed all the grammatical rules related to English, I would have passed the English. So it is not possible, it is impossible in the past because it happened and finished, and you regret about that. Okay, you regret about the situation happened in the past. All right, and I will show you how can we make it and which tenses we will use. As you like paid attention to my sentence, I used past perfect and would plus present perfect, like would plus have plus past participle. As you see from the introduction, for example, David, Mike, and Harriet, they are talking to each other. It's a kind of conversation. All right, so David asks, how was your camping holiday? Mike says, well, it would have been all right if it hadn't rained all the time. Harry say, if we had gone 2 weeks earlier, we would have had a better weather. So they actually didn't have like good holiday, and they regret about that. If it hadn't rained and if we would gone 2 weeks earlier, they are imaginary situations in the past. Like it did rain and they didn't go 2 weeks earlier, so it didn't happen. Third conditional, like if we had gone earlier, we would have had better weather. Okay, we have two clauses. Like in English, like any type of conditional sentences, doesn't matter like it's a zero, first, second, or third. We have two clauses in the sentence, two clauses. Okay, we have if clause and we have main clause. As you see, I'm gonna show you if clause. We have, I'm gonna highlight. Yes, I highlighted if clause and main clause. Pay attention. Like if you want, you can take note in order to repeat them again after the lesson, or you can screenshot this like my screen here. If clause and main clause. Please pay attention carefully. If clause and main clause. Like after if clause, we use past perfect. Okay, if we are talking about third conditional sentences, keep in your mind we always use past perfect. Past perfect again and again. Past perfect tense we must use. And you have to know like past perfect, it means had plus past participle. Like had gone, had found, hadn't made, had been. Like this form. For example, if we had gone earlier, if Matthew had found her, if you hadn't made that mistake, if you hadn't made that mistake, or if David had been more careful. So if side, we use past perfect. Okay, just past perfect. So let's continue with the main clause. As you see, like as I told you before, we have two clauses. If clauses I have already talked about, and main clause. Main clause, like we have to have subject firstly, like we, Emma, you, he. Okay, so we, Emma, you, and he, they are subjects of the main clause. Plus would have, like would have had better weather, and past participle form of the verb, like have, had, we use the past participle form. Would have been, past participle form. Would have passed, past participle form. Okay, so it depends on the verbs. If they are regular verbs, we adjust ed to the end of the word, or we change the verb's root. For example, fall, fallen, drink, drank, drink, drank, drunk. So we have to use past participle form of drink, like drunk we will use. Okay, so because of regular and irregular verbs. So if clause past perfect, main clause subject plus would have plus past participle form. All right. Look at here, and I'm gonna show you some examples. Like past perfect, and we don't use would in the if clause. Like we don't use would in the if clause. So main clause often has would have, and also we can use could have. All right, it's a kind of possibility. It's a kind of possibility. Could have or might have, like and might have. Like, you know, I'm highlighting it to show you clearly. So if I had my mobile phone yesterday, I could have contacted you. It's a kind of like possible situation. It could be in the past, but it didn't happen. Okay, if I had my mobile phone yesterday, I could have contacted you. We just caught the train. Okay, if we would stop to buy paper, we might have missed it. So this kind of sentences, they are related to third conditional. And the short form of the, like, had, also we can use if you had rung me, if you had would, if you had have come to see you. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You can now. It's easy part. And what is the difference between the second conditional and third conditional sentences? Second conditional sentences is about a hypothetical situation, like imaginary situation. Okay, it is unreal situation. For example, like you are not rich and you don't have $1 billion. You say, if I had $1 billion, I would spend or I would buy a house in California. Okay, if I had, it's a kind of hypothetical imagination. Okay, you imagine it, that if I had $1 billion, I would buy a house in California, or I would buy a Ferrari. Okay, so this is a hypothetical and like imaginary situation. But third conditional, why we use third conditional? Third conditional is about a regret, like something didn't happen in the past and right now it is impossible to do it again, and we regret about that. Okay, for example, if I hadn't spent all my money, I would have traveled around the world, or I would have bought a new house in Istanbul, for example. I spent all my money. That's why I regret about that. If I hadn't spent all my money on like something that I don't need or I didn't need in the past, I would have bought, or I would have done something different. Okay, I think it is clear for everyone. It's understandable. And if you have any question, please let me know. And you can chat me here, like we have a chat, and you can leave a comment and you can ask your questions, whatever you want about the conditional sentences. I mean, like third conditional sentences. I would be really happy to answer to all your questions. So if you have any question, I am waiting for your questions to answer. If not, I'm gonna continue with exercise that related to today's topic. For example, third conditional, it's a kind of small conversation between Nick and Tom. It's a kind of dialogue. Look at the dialogue here, as you see. Nick and Tom. Nick says, United didn't play very well today. So United, it means they are talking about Manchester United, like a football team in England, one of the famous football team in Manchester City. So United didn't play very well today. Tom says, we were awful. But if Hacker hadn't taken that easy chance, we would have won. Yeah, that is the answer given by Tom using third conditional sentence. And Arten Tekno says, we can use could and might instead of would in main sentence, in main clause. Yes, we can use, as I told you, in order to talk about possibilities. If we are gonna talk about the possibility, like possible situation in the past, we can use might. For example, if I had studied very well, I might have, for example, I might have moved to the different country. or if I had learned in English at early ages, I would lived, or I might have lived, because I'm going to use might for Mr. Art and Techno. I might have lived abroad. So might, it's a kind of possibility. It could be possible in the past, but right now it is impossible. I'm in Istanbul. And Nick says, we didn't deserve to win, and it blah blah blah. So we have to use third conditional sentences, past perfect or would have. Can you write your answers for number 1 and number 2, please? So which one should we write here? This is the if side, Rangers, and the main clauses here. My name is Ramazan teacher. Thanks, I get it. Yeah, I always forget your name, Ramazan. Sorry, because you're using a different way. Okay, and let's start with number 1 and try to answer these sentences. For number 1, like it starts with it. It means it's a main clause, and we have to use would, have, and been. Like Halil says could have, but here we should use would have. Like the first one is about would have, and we have been, because be, was, were, and been, like past participle form of be. It would have been pretty unfair if Rangers, had lost. It would, Gul Safa, your answer is not correct because of you forgot have. Okay, after would we have to use have, then we have to use a past participle form. It would have been. And the second one, number 2, the rest of the sentence is we have to use past perfect after if Rangers had lost. Yes, had and lost, like lose, lost. That is a good answer. Thank you, Minever, Yusafa, Mr. Halil. Yes, it would have been and had lost. They are the correct answers. Tom says, hacker was dreadful. My grandmother, blah, 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 if in that position, my grandmother. So it's a kind of funny sentence. So my grandmother, it's a main clause, and we have the if clause. So I'm waiting for your answers for number 3 and 4. Which one we should write here? I'm waiting for the students' answers. Like I won't write anything here until I get any comment from you. All right. So, hacker was dreadful. My grandmother would had scored. Yes, Ramazan says would had scored. It's the main clause. You would have scored is the correct answer. Would have. And by the way, also we can contract is like contractions we can use. I would have, like I would have, or my grandmother would have scored. Scored. Number 4, if she had been in that position. Yes, if she had been in that position. Yes, that is the correct answer. The main clause we used would have plus past participle form of the verb, and we used past perfect in the if side, in the if clause. Yes, great. Number 5. Let's continue with Nick. And if Burley, blah blah blah, asleep, he blah 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 go away. So that's really a funny conversation that we have here between Nick and Tom. Yes. All right. So I'm waiting for your answers for number 5 and number 6. And if pearly, this is the if side and negative. It means we have to use not after had, like negative form of past perfect. If Burley hadn't been asleep, he, okay, that is also negative form. We have to write the number 6 in the negative. Yes, number 6, he would have, don't forget to write have and given. Yes. He wouldn't have given a goal away. Yes. Right. Yes, hadn't been. That is the correct answer for number 5. Halil, Gül Safa, Mr. Ramazan. Yes. And the second part, would not have given, like wouldn't have given, hadn't been, and it wouldn't have given. They are the correct answers for number 5 and number 6. So let's continue the rest of the conversation here. Number 7, if Johnson injured when we needed him most, blah blah blah, different. All right. So if Johnson what? If Johnson, like this is if, like if the sentence starts with if, we have to use past perfect. Okay, for third conditional sentences, it means we have to use a past perfect form of be. Like it's a negative again, we have to add not after had. Hadn't, like if Johnson hadn't been injured, yeah, number 7, if Johnson hadn't been injured when we needed him most, it would have been different. Yes, it would have been different. Yes, the correct answer is it would have been different. Yeah, your answers are correct, guys. The first one is hadn't been, like number 7 is hadn't been. Number 8 is it would have been. Yes, Mr. Halil, Gülsafa, Münevver, and Mr. Ramazan. Yeah, at the moment I'm having 4 students active here online. And number 9, yes, we blah blah blah, be blah 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 them if blah 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 fit. Yes. All right, for number 9 and number 10, the last two sentences we have to write and finish this exercise. Yes, we would beat them. We would have beaten. Yes, we would have beaten. Yeah, that's the correct answer. We would, O-U-L-D, we would have beaten. Beaten. Number 10 is them if he, okay, had been fit. Yes. If he had been fit. So we would have beaten them if he had been fit. That is the correct answer, guys. That's the correct answer. All right, we did this exercise, and let me continue with another one. But how can we change these sentences? Like comment on each station using a third conditional with if. Use would have, could have, or might have. For example, in a bookshop yesterday, Daniel saw a book he really wanted. The only problem was that he didn't have any money. So we say Daniel would have bought the book if he had had any money on him. The second sentence, Rita often goes to concerts at the town hall, although not to everyone. There was one on Saturday, but she didn't know about it. So Rita might have gone to the concert if she had known about it. So it's a kind of changing the sentences by using third conditional ones. The first sentence, let's read together. On Sunday, the guests had to have their lunch inside. Unfortunately, it wasn't warm enough to have it outside. Like, it wasn't warm enough to have it outside. How can we make a sentence for number one by using third conditional? Okay, third conditional type. All right, I am waiting for your answers for number one, and also I will write your correct answers here. Okay, I will write your correct answers here to show you which one is correct and how we could manage to write the sentences correctly. So, number one, on Sunday, the guests had to have their lunch inside because of the weather wasn't warm enough to have it outside. So, how can we change the sentence number one to? Yes, I'm not gonna show you the examples again. So it would be like easier for you if you see the correct and example sentence here. So number one, on Sunday the guests had to have their lunch inside. Unfortunately, it wasn't warm enough to have it outside. Let me help you with number one, and I will try to write it myself on my own, and then we will continue with the rest of them. So on Sunday the guests had to have their lunch inside. If let's start with if it, like, I mean whether, if it had been warm, and we have to use comma if comes at the beginning of the sentence. If it had been warm, so the guests, and we have to use would in main clause and have, like it the guests would have had their lunch outside. Yes, that is the correct answer. If it had been warm, the guests would have had their lunch outside. Enough, warm enough. Yes, I think I forgot enough here. Yeah, that's the correct sentence. And don't forget to use comma. Okay, don't forget to use comma after if clause. If comes at the beginning of the sentence. Mr. Ramazan wrote a comment. If it had been warm enough to head outside, or Sunday had to head. No, Ramazan, your sentence is not correct. Gülsafa says on Sunday the guests would have their head outside if it had been warm. Yes, okay, and we can also add on Sunday to the rest of the sentence. On Sunday, yeah. If it had been warm enough on Sunday, the guests would have had their lunch outside. That is the correct answer for number one. And let's change the sentence number two by using third conditional sentence. There was a bomb scare last Tuesday. Bomb scare. Sarah wanted to fly to Rome, but she wasn't able to. The airport was closed. So that is really good sentence to change, and I will ask you to change it for me, and if I say that's the correct answer, I will write on my screen here to show everyone, and I will write your name in front of the sentence who wrote. Okay, so by the way, and I'm gonna use the time effectively. If you haven't followed us on YouTube channel or like on the Instagram, you can go to our Instagram account or YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our channel videos, and you can get information like recent information from the Instagram account about the recent change that we have had so far. And we also planning to open reopen the branch for our students for face-to-face classes. I know if you don't want to have the face-to-face classes, we also offer online lessons for to our students here. All right, guys, number 2. There was a bomb scare last Tuesday. Sarah wanted to fly to Rome, but she wasn't able to. The airport was closed. And let's continue with Sarah. Sarah, and let's use might have might have traveled or flown, might have flown to Rome. Yes, this is the main clause, Sarah might have flown to Rome if, and here please be careful, if comes later, if comes after main clause. If comes after main clause, we don't use comma. But if clause comes firstly, like at the beginning of the sentence, we use comma here. But here we don't use. If there hadn't been a bomb scary at the airport. Scary. Yes, there hadn't been a bomb scary. That's it. Sarah might have flown to Rome if there hadn't been a bomb scary. That is the correct answer. If airport hadn't closed, hadn't been. Okay, Minever changed her comment. Bahtiyar Özlek says, if there hadn't been a bomb scare last Tuesday, Sarah would have flights. Bahtiyar, your answer is correct, but you have to change flight with flown. Okay, fly, flew, flown. So we have to use a past participle form of fly. If bomb hadn't scared blah, Mr. Ramazan is lazy today. He's not writing a complete sentence here. Minever says, if the airport hadn't closed, Sarah would have flown to Rome. If hadn't been closed, if airport hadn't been closed, we have to use a passive. But this is, am I true teacher? Unfortunately, no, Mr. Bahtiyar, because of your small mistake related to verb. Gustafa says, if there hadn't been a bomb scare last Tuesday, Sarah might have to fly. Might have, Gustafa, might have flown to Rome. Okay, don't forget to use the past participle form of the verb for main clause. All right, main clause would have plus past participle form. And number 3, Lara has only met Nick once, and it is possible she wouldn't recognize him. He passed her yesterday, but he had a crash helmet on. So number 3, it is a kind of confusing sentence, but I think it is easy to write. Just be careful, pay attention closely. How can we write it correctly? Lara, number 3, has only met Nick once. Okay, has only met Nick once, like it means one time. And it is possible she wouldn't recognize him. Yes, she wouldn't recognize him. He passed her yesterday, and he had a crash helmet on. So how can we change this sentence? That is a really interesting sentence to use and to change to third conditional. Lara has only met Nick once, like it means one time, and it is possible she wouldn't recognize him. He passed her yesterday, but he had a crash helmet on. So let's start our sentence with if. I'm gonna help you with this complex sentence. If I mean Nick, I will use Nick here. If Nick hadn't All right, if Nick hadn't had a crash helmet on, Laura would have recognized him. Yes, like this. If Nick hadn't had a crash helmet on, Lara would have recognized him. Or we can use also could. It's a kind of possible situation in the past, like because of a crash helmet that Nick wore or was wearing. That's why she couldn't recognize Nick. Yes, if Nick hadn't had a crash helmet. Also here I could use the worn, like worn, giymek we say in Turkish. If Nick hadn't had a crash helmet on, Lara could have recognized him. Yeah, that is the correct answer for number 3. I didn't understand the meaning of the sentence. Meaning of the sentence is like this. Laura and Nick just met one time, okay? So it is possible she wouldn't recognize him. So if you see someone for the first time and you don't see anymore, it means when you see it again, like after a while, you may not recognize. So, and the rest of the sentence says, he passed her yesterday, but he had a crash helmet on. Like he was wearing a crash helmet. That's why it's not possible for Lara to recognize Nick in the street. That's it. All right. And number 4, Sarah has been quite busy and she hasn't watered her plants for some time. As a result, they have died. So they have died. Eğer kaskı giymiş olsaydı Lara onu fark edecekti. Kaskı giymiş olsaydı Ramazan, kaskı giymemiş olsaydı Laura fark edecekti. Like this. It must be like this, okay? If Sarah had watered her plants for some time, plants wouldn't have died. Yes, that is the correct answer, Münevver. Thank you. Your answer is correct. Giymemiş olsaydı. Yes, giymemiş olsaydı is the correct. And Nick, what is the name of crashed helmet in Turkish? Let me check. Kaskı. Eğer Nick kaskı giymemiş olsaydı Lara onu fark edebilirdi. Yesterday. And number 4, Sarah has been quite busy and she hasn't watered her plants for some time. As a result, they have died. Münevver Kavak already wrote an answer to this sentence. If Sarah had watered the plants, yes, or her plants. All right, let me write her to make it correctly. Her plants, okay. They wouldn't have died. Yes, that is the correct answer. And let me write Münevver's name here, as I promised you. Münevver wrote this sentence. If Sarah had watered her plants for some time, and also I can add the adverb here, for some time, they wouldn't have died. Yes, they wouldn't have died. That is the correct answer for number 4 by Münevver. Thank you, Münevver. Thank you so much, and I hope it is understandable for everyone. But if not, let me know which part you didn't understand. I will explain it again and again till you get it. Okay, last one, number 5. The last sentence is about Nick likes ice hockey. Right, let me write number 5. Yes, and read the sentence. Nick likes ice hockey, but he didn't have a ticket to the game last week, so unfortunately he wasn't able to get in. So it's really sad story. Like Nick, if he had a ticket, he would be there. This is the second conditional sentence I used while I was talking about Nick, but in this case we have to use third conditional, not second conditional. So, third conditional sentence for Nick. Nick likes ice hockey, but he didn't have a ticket to the game last week, so unfortunately he wasn't able to get in. Banofshe Aliyeva. Banofshe Aliyeva. I think she's from Azerbaijan. Okay. Banofshe Aliyeva says if Nick but Banofshe, after have we have to use had, like have had. If Nick have had a ticket to the game, he would have been able to get in. Just pay attention to the sentence and make your correct your mistakes, please. Yusafa says if Nick had been a ticket, not had been. Yusafa, it's not the correct answer. Nejat Ünlü says if Nick had a ticket of a hockey game, which is his favorite sport, he would be able to get in. Nejat, this is an imaginary situation, okay? It is for second conditional, but we should write this sentence in the third conditional, in the third conditional form. If he have had a ticket to the game, he would have, oh my god, just tiny mistake you made here, Mr. Ramazan. He would have been and able to get in, not gotten, okay? The last part of the sentence is false, is mistake, is not correct, Mr. Ramazan. So I'm waiting for the correct answer. I'm still waiting for the correct answer, and I will write like the name who wrote the sentence again and correctly. So I haven't had the correct answer yet. That's why I am waiting to get it to write on my screen. So number 5, Azma says if Nick had a ticket for ice hockey, he could have got it. He could have got it. No, he could have been able to get in. Azima, the last part of the sentence, unfortunately, is not correct. Unfortunately, the last part of the sentence isn't correct. Please correct your mistakes and like make sure you used a past perfect and would have plus past participle. Thank you. Corrected our answer. All right. Minaver says if Nick had a ticket to the game last week, he would have been able to get in. Yes, Minaver. Congratulations. Your answer is correct for this one. Let me write it here. If Nick had a ticket, okay, had a ticket, like first had is like the first had, don't get confused about this two had. Like first had is about past perfect, like had plus past participle, yes? The second had is have of past participle, like had, first one is past perfect, the second had is about the past participle. Nick, if Nick had a ticket, yes, I'm writing Minerva's answers. If Nick had a ticket, okay, yeah, you should write space to the game last week, yes, and we have to use comma because if clause comes first, he would have been able to get in. Yes, get in. That is the correct answer. If Nick had a ticket to the game, he would have been able to get in. Yes, Banufsha, your answer is correct as well. All right, guys, thank you. Let's have a break time, like 15 minutes break. After the break, we will keep going and we will do more exercise related to today's grammar, third conditional type, to learn it deeply. Okay guys, see you in 15 minutes, then we will continue.
Olduğun yerden hemen kalkman gerek. Adım at ki gerçekleşsin her dilek. Bekliyor seni parlak bir gelecek. Sen ona gittikçe o sana gelecek. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
A word for the joy and smile, a word where everyone will live by. Satisfaction and learn to survive in the outside world, Justenglish style. Learn, play, sing and dance, do what you don't see anywhere else. Learn, play, sing and dance, do but do Justenglish style.
Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, macerayla tanış. Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, bu dünyaya karış. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
Knife.
Knife. Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Pronunciation.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiasm. Etüstik.
Recep bilmiyorum.
Recipe.
Recipe. Recipe.
Bir daha.
Recipe.
Clark.
Clark.
Pronunciation.
Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Olduğun yerden hemen kalkman gerek. Adım at ki gerçekleşsin her dilek. Bekliyor seni parlak bir gelecek. Sen ona gittikçe o sana gelecek. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
A world full of joy and smile, a world where everyone won't live by satisfaction and learn to survive in the outside world. Distinguish style, learn, play, sing and dance. Do what you don't see anywhere else. Learn, play, sing and dance. Do but do, distinguish style.
Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, macerayla tanış. Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, bu dünyaya karış. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
Knife.
Knife. Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Pronunciation.
Enthusiastic.
And enthusiasm. Etustik.
Rigid bilmiyorum.
Recipe.
Recipe. Recipe.
Bir daha.
Recipe.
Clark.
Clark.
Clark. Pronunciation.
Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
Hello everyone, I am here again, and let's continue with the second part of the lesson. And as you know, in the first part of the lesson we have talked about third condition sentences, and we have talked about the rules, structure, and how can we make the third condition sentences in English. And as I explained, we use like past perfect and would, have plus past participle. All right, and I'm gonna continue with the second part. Like, I'm Nijat here again, and today's lesson is about third conditional for intermediate level students. We have the last part. We have the second part of today's lessons left, and we will continue with third conditional, and exercises are related to this part. Okay, Azmer wrote a sentence. If he had had enough time, he would have played chess with me after school with me. After the school with me. Is this sentence correct? Yes, grammatically this sentence is correct, Azime. Why? Because you used if he had had enough time, he would have played chess with me after the school. Yes, after the school, not with me. Like you wrote with me twice. For twice, like for 2 times. That's why we don't need to write one of them. All right. So, but the sentence is correct in total. Okay, guys, as you see, we have 2 clauses for any condition type of the sentences. It doesn't matter if it is first conditional or second conditional or third conditional. So we have 2 clauses. We have if clauses and we have main clauses. So if we have like if clauses, we have to use past perfect. Like we have if, then we have past perfect. Okay, and after if we have to use comma, and the main clause comes like subject plus would, could, or might, have plus past participle form of the verb, as you see from my screen here. So, and I'm gonna mention something really important for this grammar. If clause comes at the beginning of the sentence, we have to use a comma here, as you see. But if comes later, like if comes after main clause, we don't have to use any comma, like before if. Okay, we don't use any comma before if. That's it. And here we have the example sentence. If she had run faster, she would have won the race. She could have won the race, or she might have won the race. Like, in order to show possibility in the sentence, in the situation, we can use could or might in the main clause. All right. Or like main clause can come first, like she would have won the race, could have won the race, or might have won the race if she had run faster. Okay, it doesn't matter. Just we don't use a comma for this sentence. Like before if, we don't use any comma if it comes after main clause. And we have 2 notes here. To form the negative sentences, add not after would, could, and might. As you know, it's an easy one. Like if she had run slowly, she might not have won the race. All right. If she had run slowly, not faster. If she had run slowly, she might not have won the race. That is the correct sentence for negative. And the second note is about not after had, like after past perfect. Like example, if she hadn't run slowly, she might have won the race. Yeah, that is the correct sentence for the second not after, like had, like past perfect negative form we use here in this sentence. Mr. Ferhat and Ravana, thank you so much. Hello again. And let's complete these sentences by making third conditional statements, and we have to use our imagination. Okay, we don't have to change any sentence here. We have to use our imagination. Okay, we have to complete these sentences by using our own ideas. So I will ask you to complete the sentences by using your own ideas, not like change the sentences or using the other information here. For number one, you can see, if I had worked harder, I might have made more money. Yes, if I had worked harder, I might have been promoted, for example. Also, that was my idea. I might have made more money, or I might have finished my job earlier. Like this also, we can answer to this sentence to complete this sentence. And number two, if John had bought a new car, yes, that is the correct sentence. It's interesting one. If John had bought a new car, John had bought a new car, and we have to complete this sentence with our own ideas. And I'm gonna open the note here in order to write your sentences. Like for number two. Yes, number two, how can we complete the sentence? So just use your own idea in order to complete the sentence by using our second conditional sentences. Muharrem Yapıcı is here. Welcome back, Mr. Muharrem. Mr. Muharrem says, would have gone to the picnic. Yes, we would have gone on camping also. Like Mr. Muharrem says, for number two, let me write it on the two. Yes, Muharrem says, if John had bought a new car, we would have gone on camping. All right, that is the first idea by Mr. Muharrem, and the second idea by Mr. Nejat, he would have used it for went to work, for going to work. He would, let me write his name, Nejat, Mr. Nejat. Yeah, looks like my name, but my name is with I, Nejat, and your name is Nejat. He would have gone to work, like this. All right, and the next one from Mr. Bahtiyar, he could have had a new girlfriend. Bahtiyar, that's a good idea. Okay, Bahtiyar says he could have, yeah, by using could. That's the good good example. He could have had a new girlfriend, or yeah, a new girlfriend. All right, girlfriend. So the girls will be offended by you, Mr. Bahtiyar, after your sentence. He would have gone on a vacation. Minever says he would have. Minever says he would have gone on a vacation. All right. Okay, and any other idea? If you have any different idea, you can let me know, and I will write all the ideas on my screen in order to show you the correct version. Okay, so number two, we have already written the answer to number two. Like if John had bought a new car, Muharrem says he would have gone on camping. Muharrem's and Minever's answers are close to each other, like mostly they are similar. Like he would have gone on camping, or he would have gone on a vacation. Okay, like technically speaking, their meanings are the same. Okay, Nejat says he would have gone to work. Bahtiyar says he could have had a new girlfriend. Okay, and Gusava says, I wrote but you didn't tell. Okay, let me check. I didn't see. I am so sorry, Miss Gulsafa. Let me write your sentence. Gulsafa. Yes, let me write your sentence. He would have gone anywhere he likes. Yes, he would have gone anywhere He likes. Yes, Gülsafa, thank you. It was really good idea to write. He could have sold old. Yeah, he could have sold old one. Nejat says he could have, like the short version, he could have sold the old one. The old one. Yes, that is the correct answers for number 2. And let's continue with number 3. Number 3, if Mrs. Brown hadn't found her cat, if Mrs. Brown hadn't found her cat, what would have happened here? For number 3, we have to write our ideas. For number 3, we have to complete the sentence by using our own ideas. Okay, our own ideas we have to use to complete number 3. Number 3, if Mrs. Brown hadn't found her cat, he would have made an accident. He's too much careless. Azime, yeah, wrote an answer for number 2. He would have made an accident. He is too much careless. Oh, okay, that's the good answer for number 2. I will write Azime's answer for number 2. He would have made an accident because he is too much careless. Yeah, that's the correct answer. Okay, number 3, Gülsafa says he would have been very sad. Yes, Mrs. Brown. It's not he, Mrs. She. Yes, she would have been very sad. That's the correct answer by Gülsafa. Nejat says she might have called firemen. Why firemen? She might have called a fireman. Yes, maybe. Okay, and Bahtiyar says his dog might have been happy. Yes, Bahtiyar is really happy today, and he's in a good mood, making and writing good comments. Bahtiyar says her dog, because her dog might have been happy. Okay, thank you, Bahtiyar. Yes, you made us all right, you made us laugh here. Okay, Mr. Ramadan says she could have taken another cat. She could have, okay, she could have bought, not take, she could have bought a new cat. Or let me write my idea. She might have had a heart attack. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Banusha says she would have been unhappy. Yes, she would have been unhappy. Banusha says she would have been unhappy. That is the correct answer, guys. Thank you. Yes, you wrote a really fantastic ideas for Mrs. Brown. So if Mrs. Brown had seen these comments, she would have been like, let me write this sentence. If Mrs. Brown had seen these comments, she would have killed all of us here. All of us here. Yes, that is the third conditional sentence. She would have been unhappy, or if Mrs. Brown had seen these comments, she would have killed all of us here. Yes. All right, number 4. Let's continue with number 4. Number 4 is about what? Let me show you. If I hadn't forgotten my key, so number 4, if I hadn't forgotten my key, so what would have happened? What would have happened here for number 4? Let's continue and complete the sentence by using third conditional sentence, past participle form of the verb, like in the past perfect after if. Then we have to use would, have plus past participle. All right, Ercan Bayrak says, I am tired. Mr. Ercan, I think most of you are tired. Everyone is tired, but most of us stayed at home these days because of coronavirus pandemic. Gustavo says, I wouldn't have called my mom from work. I would have called if I hadn't forgotten my key. I wouldn't have called. I wouldn't have called. Yes, I wouldn't have called my mom from work. Yes, I wouldn't have called my mom from work. Gülsafa, just you have to use past participle form of call. Called. And Nejat Ünlü says, I would have went, not Nejat. I would have gone to my mom. Like I would have gone to my mom. All right, I would have gone to my mom. It means my mom's. Okay, it means my mom's house. And the next idea. Bye. Aygün Sametsade. I would have been at the theater if I hadn't forgotten my key. Aygün says, I would have been at this theater. Okay, let me write. But when it comes to meaning of the sentence, it's a little bit confusing. I would have been at the theater. All right, and it was an answer from Aygün. Münevver says, I would have entered the house from the balcony. How? Münevver, if you lived on the 14th floor, how would you climb up to the balcony? I would have entered the house from the balcony. Okay, balcony. And what else? Nejat says, not Nejat. Can I see the sentence again? I missed, sorry. Yes, the sentence is here. If I hadn't forgotten my key, Mr. Ramazan, if I hadn't forgotten my key, I would have entered the house. I wouldn't have entered. Like, we have to use the negative form. I wouldn't have entered the house from the balcony. It was an answer by Münevver. And Halil says, I could have lost. Yes, I could have lost. Yes. And Nejat says, I wouldn't have called a key maker of of course, not double F, of course, one F. I wouldn't have called a key maker. Ercan Bayrak said, because I can't work and work. Okay, Mr. Ercan, it's understandable. Mr. Bahtir said, I would have had a funny day with my lover. Okay, Mr. Bahtir, it's enough for today. You would have had a funny day with your lover. And Mr. Ramadan said, I would have gone up the stairs to come into the house. Oh my God. I would have gone upstairs to come into the house, our house. How? If you don't have any key on you. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's continue with number 5. the next sentence we have to complete with our own ideas is what? Let me show you. Let me show you number 5. Yes, number 5. Number 5 is here. Yeah, it is a good sentence. You might have gotten hurt, and we have to write the sentences with if. So our sentences must start with if. Is this correct? Which one? Which one is correct? Azime, can you let me know which answer is correct? I don't know which one you mentioned. That's why I can't answer to your question at the moment. All right, and you might have gotten hurt if by coming into the balcony. By coming into the balcony. Entering by coming into balcony. No, it's not the correct, Ramazan. Not by coming into balcony, like coming, not coming, entering the house through balcony. Like entering the house through balcony could be the good answer, the correct answer. So you might have gotten hurt. Here we have the main clause. You might have gotten hurt. Like somebody might have hurt you in the street. So let's make if clause. How can we make if clause to complete the idea? Number 5. Let me write one myself. If I hadn't, if not I, because the sentence is you, if you hadn't called police, if you hadn't called police, you might have gotten hurt on time. Yes, if you hadn't called police on time, you might have gotten hurt. That is the correct. That's the correct answer for number 5. Yes, you might have gotten hurt if you hadn't called the police on time. And what about your own idea? If you have any idea for number 5, let me know and write it here. If your best friend had told you lie, you might have gotten. If your best friend, let me write the sentence here. If your best friend, okay, if your best friend had told you a lie. Yes, if your best friend had told you a lie, you might have gotten hurt. It could be a correct answer. Yes. Any idea? Any idea for number 5? You might have gotten hurt. You might have gotten hurt. So, and we have to complete the sentence by using third conditional. Okay. I'm waiting and no answer yet. So if there's not answer, if I had been in love, Bahtiyar says, if I had been, yes, if I had been in love, if I had been in love, you might not. If you had been in love, you might have gotten hurt. Okay, could be. Yes, I think you have a problem with love, Mr. Bahtiyar. That's why you are talking about this sentence. All right, and let me continue with number 6. What should we do here for number 6? Let me show you number 6. Okay, I will make it. Okay, I will try to make it smaller. Yes, and to show you number 6. Okay, number 6 is here. I could have been famous. Yes, if you hadn't spoken with someone. Mr. Ramazan says, if you hadn't spoken with someone, Number 5. Okay, let me write number 5 for Mr. Ramazan. If you hadn't spoken with someone, yes, if you hadn't spoken with someone, you might have gotten hurt. All right. And number 6, I could have been famous. I could have been famous if I had started my career at my early age. I could have been famous. Yes, if I had started my career at my early age, I could have been famous. Yes, Gülşah says, if I hadn't been talented, I could have been famous. If I had been talented. Yes, if I had been talented, Gülsafan, if I had been talented, I could have been famous. Yeah, that's the good idea, but we shouldn't use the negative form of past perfect. We have to use a positive form, if I had been talented. And Bahtiyar says, if I had been a football player, yes, if I had been a football player, if I had been a football player, I could have been famous. I could have been famous one day. Aygün Sametzadeh, if you had told me in time, if you had told me in time, on time, like on time could be better, not in time. Aygün Sametzadeh, let me write your answer here. If you had told me on time, I could have been famous. Yes, if I had started in YouTube. If I had started my YouTube channel. Yes, by the way, YouTube channel made us famous online here for Just English, and most of the students know us at the moment. If I had started my YouTube channel earlier. Bahtir says, if I'd been you, I could have been famous. Okay, Özlek. Who is Özlek? I don't know what does mean Özlek. Bahtir, sorry. Bahtir Özlek, your surname is Özlek. I guess you wrote something related to Özlek. Yes, if I had been you, I could have been famous. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And let's continue with the next sentence, number 7. Number 7, Tom would have passed his exam. Number 7, I wrote the number 7, and let's write the ideas for number 7 here. Number 7, Tom would have passed his exams. Okay, all right. Tom would have passed his exams. Tom would have passed his exams if he had, okay, if he had what? If he had, like we have to use a past perfect tense in the if clause. All right, and for number 7, Tom would have passed his exam if Tom had prepared all his lessons. Okay, if Tom, like Gülsafa, after if we use a past perfect, not present perfect. Okay, if Tom had prepared all his lessons very well, he would have passed his exams very well. Yes, it could be correct answer. And Bahtiyar says, I must go. See you, teacher. Okay, Bahtiyar, see you. Take care, and I hope you enjoyed our lesson today and you learned something from me online. If Tom had prepared all his lessons very well, he would have passed his exams. Okay, and Mr. Ramadan says, if Tom had studied so hard, that is the perfect sentence. If Tom, yes, if Tom had studied very well, had studied so hard, he would have passed his exams. Thanks a lot. You helped us very much. You're welcome, Yusufa. My job is helping the students here. Okay, and next one, number 8. Number 8, let's wait. Yeah, I am telling a poem here. All right. Number 8. Number 8. Number 8. Yes, let me show you. Number 8 is they might have been happier. So how can we make them happier? They might have been happier. What about these sentences? They might have been happier if something had happened. Alev asked a question. If only I had the answer to that question. If only I had the answer to that question. Why not, Mr. Ayhan? You can answer to this question and you can write. No problem. All right. They might have been happier if they had enough money to travel. Yes, if they had enough money to travel, they might have been happier. It's a kind of possibility for this sentence. Oh yes, Gül Safa said if they had married soon. Wow, for couples, yes, if they had married, that is the correct and interesting sentence. If they had married early or soon. Yeah. If they had married soon, they might have been happier. Mr. Ramazan writes a comment. If Tom had made enough exercise. If Tom had made enough exercise, yes. Azmi says, if their daughter hadn't been ill, yes, if, that is a different idea, but it is really correct. If their daughter hadn't been ill, good idea, good sentence, Miss Azima, thank you. If their daughter hadn't been ill, they might have been happier. Minever says, if they had met in Istanbul with friends, yes, if they had met, not meet, yes, if they had met in Istanbul, with friends, okay, with their friends, they might have been happier. Yes. Or if just English had been opened, they might have been happier. I'm talking about students. Yes. All right. Ramazan says, if they had a big family, if they had a big family, they might have been happier. If coronavirus had finished, we might have been happier. Yes, Gül Safa. If coronavirus, virus. If coronavirus had finished, everybody would have been happier. Yes, we might have been happier. All right, let's continue with number 9. If I hadn't found a new job, if I hadn't found a new job, number 9, we have to write, I miss my friend a lot. Everybody misses his or her friends, you know. Most of the time during the coronavirus pandemic, we stayed at home and we didn't meet our friends for a while, and everybody misses to go out and meet their friends. Yes, and I hope the station will be back again and the life will continue normally, and we will have a normal life, and we would be able to visit our friends easily and freely without any problem. And I hope we will have good days. We will have good days in near future. At least I hope. And number 9, if I hadn't found a new job, an idea from me, I'm gonna write an idea for this sentence. If I hadn't found a new job, I might have spent all my money. Yes, I might have spent all my money if I hadn't found a new job. I would have bought for myself a car. If I hadn't found a new job, I wouldn't have bought a new car for myself. Okay, Nejat says I might have moved to a cheaper place. Yes, I might have moved to a cheaper house. All right, to live. I would have done a master's degree. Where, Munevver, where are you planning to do your master? And Mr. Ramadan says I would have bought a new car. I wouldn't have bought a new car. Yes, I wouldn't have bought a new car. That is the correct answer. I wouldn't have bought a new car. And Minever says I would have done a master degree. For example, in Turkey, in Italy. And Azme says, unfortunately, elder people have risk because of pandemic. Yes, unfortunately, they are under the risk. Yes, they are at risk actually if they go out. I couldn't pay my rent. I couldn't have paid my rent if I hadn't found a new job. How can I pay? I couldn't. Yes, could not. I couldn't have paid my rent. That is the correct answer. Nejat says I might have been continued to be freelancer. I might have continued. Like it should mean like this. I might have continued. Let me write continued. Yes, continued to be a freelancer, or as a freelancer, yes. All right, I might have continued as a freelancer. Okay, and as Mrs. says, and they are all prison at home. A prisoner. Yes, Azime, you're completely right about elderly people. Unfortunately, they must stay at home in order to protect themselves from the virus, because they are vulnerable people. They might get a virus easily. Yes, like get infected easily. You too, B have yes, to be I have used. Yeah, that's the correct. And number 10, the last 3 sentences we have to finish, and let's continue with number 10 to finish this idea. If it had rained yesterday, I wouldn't, or okay, I couldn't. That is my idea. I couldn't have gone to the dentist. Yes. I couldn't have gone to the dentist. And your ideas for number 10. If it had rained yesterday, I couldn't have gone to the dentist. What about you? What about your idea for number 10? Okay, and I'm gonna drink my water. Yes, I couldn't have gone to the dentist. I would have been if it rained yesterday. If it had rained yesterday, so I would have been wet. I would have been wet. That's the correct answer. I couldn't gone to our garden. I couldn't have gone to our garden. That is the correct answer. And Gustava says had sorry. Yes, Minerva changed her comment for this sentence. All right, I couldn't have gone to the dentist, couldn't have gone to our garden. I would have been wet. That is the logical answer to this sentence. For number 10, if it had rained yesterday, I couldn't have gone to our garden. That was the last answer that I got. Minerva wrote a comment. I wouldn't have left home. I wouldn't have left home. That is the perfect answer. Thank you, Minerva. And let's continue with 11. Let's see. If we had arrived time, it means on time. If we had arrived on time, I wouldn't have watered garden. Yes, Nejat, your answer is correct for number 10. We couldn't have gone out if I had had a bad toothache. Yes, if I had had a bad toothache, I wouldn't have slept very well. Yeah. And number 11, if we had arrived on time, we would have what? We would have what? Okay, I am waiting. We would have watched the movie from beginning. Yes, we would have watched the movie. We would have watched the movie from the beginning. Yes, from the beginning. That is the correct answer. And or what? Or we would have rested all time. We would have had enough time to rest. Yes, we would have had enough time to rest. And it just says we would have caught the train. Caught the train. We would have, or instead of would, we can also use could. We could have caught the train. Yes, we could have caught the train if we had arrived on time. Okay, we would have caught the bus and caught, caught. Okay, the past participle form is different. And the last sentence, number 12. Thank you for your answers for 11. And let's continue with the last one. The last one is 12, and I try to show you. Okay. 12 is if the dog had bitten me. Wow. if we wouldn't have missed the first part of the movie. Yes, Baran Gökçekli, your answer is correct. And the last sentence for 12, if the dog had bitten me, I couldn't have played football. I couldn't have played football if the dog had bitten me. I wouldn't have caught the flight. Okay, I would have gone to the doctor. Yes, of course. I would have gone to the doctor or a doctor, because we don't know which doctor you are going to. I would have gone to a doctor. Okay, and Ramazan says, I wanted to read Ramazan's answer. He immediately changed his comment. I would have gone to the hospital. Yes, I might have injected a vaccine. I might have got injection. A vaccine, yes. Azime says, I would have gone to hospital. Azime, not I would gone, okay? I would have gone to hospital. I might have got, let me write this good comment. I might have got an injection or a vaccine. I might have got a vaccine. Yes. All right, guys, thank you so much for your fantastic answers to these sentences. Thank you so much for your great, awesome ideas for the sentences here I showed you. And I'm gonna say big thanks to everyone to be here with me and wrote a comment, and like, you were really fantastic today. Thank you guys. Take care, have a good day, and don't forget to watch our YouTube videos, and don't forget to follow us on our Instagram. Like, on the Instagram, you can follow our Instagram account in order to get the recent news and weekly program. Thank you so much. Take care. See you next time.
Olduğun